Hey everybody, and welcome back to You Be the Judge. We are your host Charlie, aka Tuki, and my co-host.
Geometric bananas.
This is a podcast where we discuss other people's drama, and you must defend the party you're assigned to the best of your ability, and you will be assigned to it through a coin flip. Before we actually get started with the show, we've missed the last 2 weeks, and wanted to address this because we got COVID. The entire family here got COVID, and it was a very brutal 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was not good.
It was not good at all. When we finally thought, hey, we could probably record today so we can at least get an episode out last week, and one of our kids ended up getting a fever again of like 105. We were up till like 2 in the morning. Actually, we slept, I think, maybe 45 minutes throughout the whole night on the day that we thought we might be able to record. And we had to put our kids in the shower or in the bathtub because his fever got way too high. So we weren't able to record because we were pretty sick over here. So wanted to address that and to apologize to our to listeners for that. So, but here we are back in your ear holes again. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with today's show.
You be the judge right now. You can be the judge right now. You be the judge.
Here comes the judge.
You be the judge right now. Come on now and be the judge.
Man, I don't know about you, but that felt good hearing that theme song.
Oh, it did. Oh, it absolutely did. I mean, it feels great to be back, and I love doing this podcast.
Me too.
You know,
I really do too.
I really enjoy it, and arguing with you has been like my lifelong dream. So we get to do it now for a podcast. Absolutely.
I am a delight.
Okay, so the first story is going to be. So the first story is, am I in the wrong for telling my dad I'll gladly spend Christmas with him if he gives me back my college fund as a Christmas gift? Sounds spicy. Am I in the wrong for telling my sister to either lay off my parenting style or leave my house and go homeless? And lastly, am I in the wrong for calling my wife entitled and humiliating her in front of my mom? Whew. Okay, so that's gonna be fun to defend. Oh, you never gave me the coin, by the way.
Oh, yeah, the coin. Okay.
Do you want to just be in charge of the coin?
No.
All right, give it to me so I'll play with it.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to actually, for today, let you use the one on the computer.
Okay.
Only because I have to have my headset hardwired in, and I don't want to fidget with everything.
Okay, so then I'll be using the online one. Fine.
Just for today.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? I'm just saying it's easier. It's more convenient. I'm not gonna make any.
It is broken.
Your brain is broken.
Hey, you knew that the day you met me. Like, literally the day you met me.
Okay, so first episode.
First story.
First story. Yeah, you're right. First story. You want to go ahead and take it away?
No, it's your turn to read it.
No, I debated
Yes.
with our guest last time.
Yeah. But she read 2 stories.
Yeah, but you took a break for 2 weeks. 3 weeks, actually.
No, you are supposed to read it.
Fine. As you can tell, I like to argue with her. Okay, so here we go. Am I the wrong for telling my dad I'll gladly spend Christmas with him if he gives me back my college fund as a Christmas gift? To make this brief, I, a 23-year-old male, had issues with my dad after my mom died and my stepmom came along. I hated a lot of the decisions that were made, but what has left me a long-lasting impact was taking my college fund to pay for my stepbrother's surgeries. Unfortunately, he's dead. He died last year at the age of 16 from a chronic heart problem. I put my distance, but still see my grandparents and uncles and aunts and cousins, etc. With the holiday season coming up, Dad started talking to me through some relatives, close relatives. He went on about how his overwhelming feelings of his loneliness, his upcoming divorce, and invited me to spend Christmas with him because he's alone and heartbroken. As a response, I told him I'll gladly spend Christmas with him if he gives me back my college fund in the form of a Christmas gift. He and the others didn't like my response. He thought this was harsh, and my relatives said that I was judgmental, petty, greedy, and a jerk. to say this to him after he's lost so much. They said that he did all he could to save his stepson, my stepbrother's life, which they described as noble, and that he doesn't owe me a thing. I went home after a big argument with my uncle, who came at me for what I said. Now I feel like crap. Maybe I should have just calmly, politely declined the invite and not said this to him and made him feel guilty for how he handled my stepbrother's situation. Okay, so there's also an edit here. It says, the fund was made by my dad. Mom was a stay-at-home mom and didn't work, but they both agreed that this fund would go towards my education. 2, I was able to get into college. I started working to pay my way, and I had some relatives help, but my uncle did so much for me, which is why I felt like crap when he berated me. He holds a very special place in my life, and he's the last person I want to disappoint and let down. Am I in the wrong? Ooh, okay. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So I read the story.
Hold on, I need my notepad.
Oh my goodness. I already flipped the coin.
Okay, that's fine. Just hold it till I get my notepad. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I got heads. I am defending the poster. Okay, so I am defending the poster on this one. And let me go ahead and get started with this. Crap. All right, I'm trying to think of a defense for this guy. Okay, here we go. Ready? I'm starting the timer right now. So this guy, our poster, is expecting these funds to take care of him throughout his college career. And me, having been in college, knows exactly what a college tuition costs. So the fact that he was already expecting this from his loving parents to pay for his education, that they very responsibly prepared for him, right? They responsibly prepared his funds for him to be able to go on to continued education after he graduates from high school. So this was a way for him to start his career, to start his adulthood, basically. So he's absolutely entitled to that money because it was already set up for him to begin with.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, you said he's entitled to it. No, he's not. That money, though it is being saved for you, you are not entitled to it. Because say that it wasn't his stepbrother. Say that was his... He says right here in the paragraph that his uncle means a lot to him. Okay, what if it was his uncle who needed life, if he had a life-threatening surgery? Life-saving surgery? What if his life was threatened, okay? And he needed this surgery to help him survive. I'm pretty sure based off how much he talks about his uncle and how much he means to him, it would not have bothered him as much as it did a stepbrother. Because he's clearly upset about this. Regardless if it's step or not, your stepbrother needed surgery because he died at 16, dude. 16 years old from chronic heart problems, and you're gonna have the nerve to be like, but it was my money. I needed it for school. Dude, you are not entitled to that money. Yes, it was saved with the intention for you to go to college, but guess what? Things happen. Emergencies come up. You helped your stepbrother live a little while longer. And even though he unfortunately did pass away, you did give him a little bit longer to live. So for him to be like, oh, I had to go to work and I had to pay for myself. Guess what, dude? A lot of people do that. You are no different than anyone else.
Okay, but I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying, listeners, what I'm about to say is going to sound really harsh, and this is not who I am as a person. I just want you guys to know that what I'm about to say is not me as a human being, okay? But this is just for the sake of the argument. I want to throw that out there.
You liar!
No, I by no means mean what I'm about to say, but
you're like, I'm just being a liar.
I'm trying to defend here. I have to defend the side. Okay. So you said that the dad loved the stepbrother so much that he had to pay for the surgery. Well,
no. Oh, yeah.
That's what you just said.
No. My
You have
wires
the
got
notepad.
crossed.
How do you
my,
not?
My wires got crossed.
Okay, well, how much does the dad really love this kid and not having insurance on him? Because that bill would have been a lot cheaper to have to cover the fund. I mean, if you would have loved that kid that much, hey, give him some insurance, some health insurance, and guess what? That would have covered a lot more.
Okay, you do know that.
God, that
just
was a
because-
really mean thing to say.
Okay, look, you do know that even if you have health insurance, that doesn't mean that your funds are going to be cut, right?
Well, obviously, but there's limits to how much you're going to pay on a yearly basis.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's a max out of pocket.
He died at the age of 16 years old from a chronic heart problem. Those surgeries are not cheap.
Listen, I'm digging deep here. I'm really digging deep here. Okay.
Yeah, that was a bit of a reach, and I'm sorry. No, no. This guy, our poster is.
Okay, but you have to also imagine one thing, okay, right? So as you grow up, you're being told something, hey, we got this set up for you. Hey, we got something set up for you. As you get older, you're being convinced by your parents, hey, you don't have to worry about this because we got you covered. We got you covered. We got you covered. So when you're going in and you choose an expensive career path or an expensive scholarship program or an education path that's going to be very expensive, and in the back of your head, hey, this is covered because my parents did the responsible thing and actually had this prep for me, so that way by the time I actually reach this level, I can actually be taken care of. And so he's had this in his head throughout his entire life, so of course he's going to be thinking entitled, hey, that it's the equivalent of saying, imagine a stepfather coming in or a stepmother coming in saying, hey, I'm your mom, I'm your dad, I'm your mom, I'm your dad, and then you hit 18 years old, oh, hey, you know what, sorry, you're not my child anymore. That's the equivalent.
That is not what happened at all.
I know, I'm digging deep here.
You're like, listen, when you're in the jungle and there's a huge anaconda trying to kill you?
And that's why it makes sense.
And then there's a sickle.
But yeah, so he's expecting this money because he was thinking that his parents were taking care of him this entire time. So he had no idea. And think about that too, though. Like, what if they used it without even telling him? So this entire time, he was sideswiped by that too. He was sideswiped by the whole thing because they told him that he'd have this college fund ready for him by the time it's time to go to blah blah. By the time it's time for him to go to college.
Guys, words are hard.
Yes, and he had nothing. He had nothing when it was time because nobody told him that they spent the money.
What kind of selfish prick are you that you're gonna be here and be like, they promised me money since I was a kid so that I could do what I want to do in college, but no, they went and they spent it on my stepbrother so that he could continue to live. How selfish are you to think that, dude? And he's 23 years old.
You also don't know what type of relationship he had with the stepbrother. That's another thing to factor in because, look it, I'm not saying, that I'm not saying that he deserved what he got. But let me tell you something. There are some disabled people out there that are major jerks.
Wow. How much time do we have?
We are at 7 minutes and I'm digging deep.
Oh my god.
Okay, listen, true story here, okay?
Oh my
True story.
God.
And this is why I say this. This is a true story here. Okay. One time, as you know, I used to be a mechanic on buses.
Yes.
As my wife, you obviously know.
Yes.
I was a mechanic for buses, and a bus broke down. I was sent out to check out the bus while it was broken down in the middle of the road. I kid you not. Somebody on a wheelchair passing by. This guy looked older than death himself. Okay? You could barely understand what he was saying. He starts cussing me out because the bus was in the middle of the road. Like it's my fault that the bus broke down. I'm telling you, there are some people out there that are just mean, and we don't know what kind of person this sickly. Oh my god, this just sounds wrong. All right, I'm tapping out. I sound like too much of a jerk, and I don't like it. I'm tapping out.
Guilty, 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 guilty!
I'm tapping out. I'm sounding so much like a jerk, and that is not who I am as a person. Like, the things I said, I am sorry to the listeners. This is not who I am, but I was just trying to find a defense.
Yeah, you're a very, very compassionate person.
It hurt just saying that. I'm a compassionate person, but I have a sense of humor. I will say that. I have a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, because I said what I said, but I am very compassionate. I didn't like what I was saying. I'm like, all right, I got to tap out. This is too much.
No, dude, I give you credit. 7 minutes in, I would have given up a long time ago. I can't find a defense for this guy.
Yeah, so you know what? I started the reading, so I'll give my true thoughts on this.
Yeah.
My true thoughts on this is to the poster. You are the wrong on this one, because this kid is fighting for his life, and you'll never understand that until you're in the same situation. And your father was just trying to save his life. You know, I'm sorry, but contrary to whatever you believe, a human life is worth way more than money. You can't put a price on a human life. And if that money was spent trying to make this kid's final days easier, tolerable, less painful, then no, I disagree with you, because one, you feel entitled to that money because you were told to it, right? I get that. And I get your parents told you that money was yours. But ultimately, this is the real world. The real world, there is nobody to give you handouts. This is not how life works. Life is, you work for your own stuff, you live by your own, and once you get married, you have your partner, or you have your partner, whatever the case may be. But in life, nothing's handed to you. And if it is, you should be grateful for it. You shouldn't be grateful. You should not be ungrateful because it was spent trying to get another human being to survive. I'm sorry, but this money was not yours, and it never was until it actually exchanged hands from your father to you. And if it never, and the fact that you're upset about it, while they were just trying to keep him alive, that just leaves a very sour taste in my mouth.
And not just that, I mean, this is a gift from your parents to you. If you are 23 years old, you can get a job and take care of it yourself. Is it going to be hard? Yes, it is. But that's how it is for a lot of people. You are not entitled to this money that your parents had the intention of giving to you. Yes, they had the intention of giving it to you, but it is not yours until they give it to you as a gift.
Yeah, I agree 100%, because how many people are working a part-time job, putting themselves through college.
Yeah.
It's part of life, and I get why you're upset. You feel entitled to that money, and I saw your edit where it says, then whose money is it if I'm not entitled to it? Well, it's your dad's. It's your dad's money. He worked for it, right? He put in the blood, he put in the sweat, he put in the hours at work to put that money aside for you. So it's not your money yet, but it was used. Now, had you said in your story that your dad spent it gambling, then 100% I agree with you. 100% I agree with you that your dad's in the wrong. But he spent the money to save a child's life, or extend it as much as possible. So, no, to the poster, you are definitely in the wrong on this one.
Yep.
And that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I got the correct side to defend. This guy is an idiot, and sorry, I don't agree with the entitlement at all.
Yeah, and the reason why we feel a little passionately about this is because I kind of get the feel that he felt that these funds were worth more than this kid's life, and that's never okay.
No. His 16-year-old stepbrother.
Yeah, I don't care.
16 years old, dude.
Stepbrother or not stepbrother, doesn't matter who it is. Because had it been your dad, had it been your dad undergoing those issues, would you still have a problem with it?
Exactly.
Had it been your mom? Had it been your uncle? A close family friend? Like, if you're in the situation and have the capacity to help out, why not? That's just my 2 cents. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next story. You want to go ahead and take it away?
Okay. Am I in the wrong for telling my sister to either lay off on my parenting style or to leave my house, aka go homeless? I, a 44-year-old male, am a single father to a 14-year-old daughter. I have raised her on my own since her mother passed away 10 years ago. Since the beginning, I was not a fan of being a strict father. I came from a household like that, and all it did was giving me a miserable childhood and a strained relationship with my parents, and a crap ton of therapy. 2 weeks ago, my sister's house got flooded. They found out that the foundation rotted. Ugh. I offered them to move into my finished basement with separate entrance, house built on a hill. So right now her husband, her 3 sons, 16, 13, and 9, and her are living in my 3-bedroom basement. It has a full bathroom and kitchen living room. Usually they have their life and we have ours, but we hang out for a couple hours every day, and that's when the trouble started. Like I said, I don't have too many rules for my daughter. As long as I know where she is and she is back by 9, she is free to go wherever she wants, within limits, of course. I do not control what she wears or what makeup she puts on as long as she follows her school dress code, and of course she dresses appropriately for special occasions. She does not have a bedtime. I do not check if she did her homework. She has a lock on her door, and I always ask permission before going in. If she does not like what I plan to make for a meal, she is free to cook something else or order takeout, as long as she informs me before I start cooking, and no ordering in more than twice a week. Also, she uses her money to order in. Now these rules are a result of me having a good kid, her earning my trust, and me wanting her to grow up as independent as possible while learning to self-regulate and keeping her safety in mind. My sister, on the other hand, is very strict. She has her kids on a set routine. They are not allowed to have closed doors except while changing. She checks their electronics all the time. They are rarely allowed to go anywhere. They eat what she cooked or they starve, if she allows them to not eat what she made, that is. She is so on top of their schooling that I feel bad for the teachers. She's always emailing them or calling them or even going to the school. They do not get pocket money and are not allowed to work. And even the 16-year-old has a 9 p.m. bedtime on school nights and 10 p.m. weekends. I don't agree with her parenting style, but I keep my opinions to myself. But now she is demanding that I give my daughter more rules, because her kids are comparing themselves to their cousin, and they are rebelling. So I told her straight to her face, she either keeps her opinions to herself and parent her kids and leave my daughter to me, or she's free to find somewhere else to live. She says I'm a jerk because I don't know how my lax parenting is only adding more stress to her already stressful life. And threatening her with homelessness is a very low blow. So am I in the wrong? So the poster actually included an edit. It says, forgot to add. What started this whole thing is this situation. My sister and her family know that they are not supposed to go to the 2nd floor without my permission. That's where my and my daughter's bedrooms are. Well, my nephews started using this rule to hang out with their cousin without their mother being able to get to them. And when she does, my daughter's door is usually locked, so she has to wait for them to open it for her. She is convinced that they are hiding something from her in my daughter's room. All they are doing is having some freedom and privacy away from their constant monitoring. Ooh, wrong story to pick. Whew, okay.
That was quite the reading.
Okay, go ahead, Flip.
Here we go. You got Tails.
Tails. So I am. Oh God.
Look, I'll turn my screen around so you can see it. Look at turn around so that way you can see it. There it is. It's Tails. That way you don't say that.
That
I'm
thing is
manipulating.
broken.
How is it broken? Did you
It
see the
is
story that look?
broken.
I had to defend Scrooge Mc something on the other story.
Guys, words are hard.
Okay, so go ahead. You want to start your defense?
Listen.
Listen, I'm listening.
Listen.
I'm
Look.
listening.
Look. Look.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, I'm starting your timer now.
This whole time I thought it was started.
Oh no, ready and go.
Okay. Look. Jeez. Okay. When you're under stress. Okay, shut up.
Go for it.
When you are under stress, you already have a lot. Like, God. Okay, what's made them go into living with their brother again? Their house got flooded because the foundation got rotted, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's not a cheap fix. That's a very, very expensive fix. So to have that weighing on your head, plus having to live with your brother, that's a lot on you. So when you have a set routine with your kids and your family on something that works for you guys, and it starts to get rocked, that in itself adds to your stress because you've got a lot on your plate in your turn.
Hey, you know what? You actually held off longer than I did. You're at a minute 18, and I gave up at like 45 seconds on the last one. Actually, no, because a lot of it was spent saying, look. So you actually like wasted a lot of time. Delay of game. Okay, so one, you're a guest in this person's house, in this poster's house, and you want to come in and start demanding him changing the way he does things and the way he's been doing things for the longest times. You have yourself and your husband with your 3 kids. He has himself and his daughter and a deceased wife. So which means he's got to take care of everything and anything under that roof. So as it is, yes, I get it. You have a lot of stress going on in your life, but so does he. He has to play both roles in this relationship. He's got to play the mother and the father to this little girl that's his daughter. So so you're a guest in this person's house. Yes, I get it. He's your brother. Yes, I get you're stressed. But so is the poster. The poster has to do everything and play every role in his daughter's life. Sorry, there's a fly that landed on my chin. So I'm like fighting over here with trying to think about what I'm saying while fighting with the fly. So the poster is having to play the role of basically doing everything in this household, everything covering. He's in charge of putting food on the table. He's in charge of working. He's in charge of cleaning the house. He's in charge of making sure he has every role because it's just him by himself, as his wife is now deceased. My condolences. So he also has his own stress that he has to deal with. So bringing the fact that the sister is already undergoing a lot of stress, well, so does he. But the one factor that we have to consider is the sister is a guest in the house, and she has no right coming in to demand how things should and should not be done within the household. This is not your house. You don't come in to make the rules in my house. Period.
Yeah, I see your point, but the thing is that she's not asking him to completely change everything. What she's asking is to give her a little bit more boundaries or a little bit more of a routine. Because right here it says that her kids go to bed at 9 o'clock on school nights and 10 on the weekends. Whereas her niece
Yeah, I gotta say, by the way, that's pretty sad. Our 8-year-old has a later curfew than their 16-year-old.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, I just wait till we get to our actual opinions. But let me continue with this. So yeah, she's just asking that to give her a little more rules. She's just asking her, maybe instead of having no bedtime, maybe give her a bedtime. Instead of having her, because she makes her kids eat what she makes or they don't eat at all. Mm-hmm. And so she's telling her brother, maybe instead of letting her cook for herself, or instead of, letting her order her own food, make her own stuff, maybe make her eat what it is that you are making.
Okay, but they have their own kitchen. Like, why would that food matter, though? They have their own kitchen in the basement. Like, he has an entire house, basically, it sounds like, in the basement. So why does her cooking have anything or any bearing or any effect on the sister and her family cooking in the basement? They have their whole kitchen.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that the cousins know that their uncle doesn't make them, doesn't make her eat what he's going to cook. He tells her, hey, I'm making this. If she doesn't want it, she can either make something else for herself or she can order. Her cousins know that. So, because they're comparing themselves now to their cousin, the sister is just coming to her brother saying, hey, maybe you can start making her eat what you eat. And besides, you don't even know how she asked. Maybe she's not saying it for every meal. Maybe she's saying like a couple times.
Yeah, but she's using her own money.
I know, but that's still, the sister is still asking her brother, just as, hey, because the way the boys are seeing how your daughter is, it's making it harder for me, because now they're starting to go against how I parent my kids, and they're starting to not listen to me, and they're starting to rebel. So she's just coming to her brother asking, maybe whatever it is that you're cooking, maybe a couple nights, even if she doesn't want it, maybe you can just have her eat it, because it's making my kids rebel. And with everything that I've got already going on with the house, and I'm sure that this is putting a strain on her marriage, plus with everything with her kids, it's probably a lot on her. So she's just up to her ears in frustration and is just coming to her brother to ask her to, hey, please help me out here. It maybe just at least while we're here.
So she's raising her kids very, very strict, it sounds like. And you feel that because of the freedoms that your niece has, it is causing your kids to rebel. Wouldn't that just be poor parenting skills on her part?
Look, if you're going to come in here with logic, I can't argue with you.
I'm just saying. Because I just don't see how our poster 16-year-old, look, it sounds like she lives a pretty responsible life. She works. When she wants to order in, she pays for it herself. And she's pretty open with her dad, and they have a pretty close relationship from what it sounds like. And he says here that she's a pretty good girl. She is well, what's the word I'm looking for?
She's
mannered.
Well adjusted.
She's well mannered, well adjusted. So she's you can't get mad at her for being well mannered. She just has a little bit more freedom than what the sister's kids have. But how is that her fault?
How are we on time?
9 minutes 25 seconds.
Okay, I can't anymore. I can't.
Okay, so you read the story. Go ahead and give us your two thoughts on that.
I cannot stand the sister. She needs to be in a bag in the desert.
Whoa, that. Whoa.
That went south so fast!
Yes, shout out to Ralph Garman for that. I'm sorry. Okay, where do I start? It's just, your 16-year-old is not allowed to have a job. Our kid is 8 years old. He's already talking about what job he wants and what he wants his first job to be. And he's already talking about how the career path that he wants. He's already planning his life.
Yeah.
And you have your 16-year-old who you're not even allowing to work.
I mean, if you're 16 years old and you want to work, I'd encourage that 100%. I mean,
100%.
It teaches these kids so much responsibility and accountability. It's going to only benefit them in their future.
Says right here, she has her kids on a set routine. They are not allowed to have closed doors except while changing. I don't agree with that. It's good to teach them about privacy and having their own space, because if you don't teach them at a young age, or if you don't teach them that at all, you can do some serious harm by doing that. And look, if he is saying that, where is it at? Okay. I came from a household like that was strict, and all it did was give me a miserable childhood and a strained relationship with my parents and a crap ton of therapy.
Which is interesting because they're siblings.
Well,
right?
That's where she gets it from. If she's acting like this, it's because she learned it from her parents.
Yeah, I to the poster on this one, I don't think you are in the wrong on this one at all. And you know what? I still agree with even as far as you took it. You know, if you don't like it, get out of my house. Because she should not be able to come in and change your rules. Those are your rules, man. Those are your rules that you have set in your house. This is your house. They are guests, period. And if she thinks that she can come in and tell you how to be a parent, excuse me, the door's right there. This is how I run my house. You don't like it, you can get out. Oh, but it's affecting my kids. Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
I'm not going to treat my child differently than I have been for the past 16 years just because you don't like the way I'm raising my kid. If you don't like it, tough. Guess what? Stay in the basement. You're here temporary, period.
She checks their electronics all the time. I don't agree with that. They are rarely allowed to go anywhere. I don't agree with that.
Okay, in answer to the checking electronics part, she has a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. So I would say monitor it, but not in a way that's going to be like overbearing. Believe me, you could start off on a YouTube short of something very, very innocent and scroll your way into something very weird and very dark.
Yeah, and I know that. But if you do not teach your kids how to navigate away from that, all you're doing is making it worse. Because, for example...
I disagree with you on that. I have to disagree with you on that because everybody thinks differently. Every person thinks differently. So when you might try to teach them to stay away from that, but if they find something that's a little, engaging to them, then they might want to explore a little bit more. And if it's kind of like, for example, I saw a story where this dad said that his daughter came up to him. She was about 8 years old, around our kid's age, and she was crying and handed him the tablet. He's like, Dad, I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want to watch this anymore. And it was a video of a goat being decapitated. And she was watching these kids shows. That's what it started as. And now, everybody gets intrigued by different things. That's how the human brain works. So this is where I'm saying I disagree with you on that, because in order for you to guide somebody or a child, in order for you to guide somebody through a path, you have to be able to know where they are, right? If you don't know they're veering off because you're saying, I don't want to invade their privacy, then how do you correct it? It's like that with anything in life, in my opinion.
For example, you and me, with our 8-year-old, I don't check his electronics all the time, and I'm not like a helicopter parent where I have to check to see what he's doing all the time. What I do is when he's on YouTube, I remind him what we are and not okay with him watching. And if he stumbles across a video that I can either hear or notice that's something that you and me are not okay with, I'll have him pause it and I'll say, okay, remember how we told you this is what we're okay with, this is not what we're not okay with? and then I'll explain to him why the video that he's watching we're not okay with, and he on his own will change it.
See, but not all kids are like that. You know for a fact that our youngest, when he gets to that age, he's going to challenge that because he likes to provoke.
Yeah, and then it's at that point that you start to implement rules of, okay, if you are not...
I would say it just depends on knowing your children's personalities.
Yeah. Well, let me continue on. It says they are rarely allowed to go out anywhere. I don't agree with that. They eat what she cooked or they starve. If she allows them not to eat what she made, that is. I don't agree with that.
Clearly, you were not raised as a Mexican. Because any Mexican child, any Mexican adult can tell you, o comes esto o no comes nada. Which means either you eat this or you're not going to eat. And that is very, very common in the Hispanic culture. Okay? Because I can't tell you how many times I heard that growing up. This is what we made. I don't want that. Well, looks like you're not going to eat then.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that. And I would go through that sometimes with, like, when I was with my aunts.
I've heard other stories about you.
Like I said, when I'm with my aunts. When I was with some of my aunts, they would not let me do, I don't feel like having that. I ate what they made, or I didn't eat at all.
See, I kind of agree with that, though, to a certain degree.
I don't, because I don't, and let me tell you why. My parents did not do that with me. Mm-hmm. My parents, they would make food. She would make food.
Yeah, you know who paid for that consequence? Me!
See, this goes back to our argument. I don't see what the big deal is if somebody eats something different than everyone else.
Because, okay, let's say you spent an hour and a half in the kitchen cooking something for the kids.
But see, this is the thing. Okay, yeah, but this is the thing, okay? He tells her from the beginning. So it's not like she says, okay, yeah, that's what you're gonna make, okay. And then when he's already done, be like, well, no, I don't feel like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he tells her from the beginning, this is what I'm going to make. And then he lets her decide if that's what she wants or not. And if it's not what she wants.
That's part of the planning process. But I'm talking about once you've cooked and you've already made dinner, you've already prepped everything, and you change your mind at the last minute, you're like, I don't want that. I don't want to eat that. I'm sorry, but you just spent an hour and a half in the kitchen. Now, why is it right for somebody to come in and say, you know what, I don't want to eat that. Can you make me something else? Now you're spending an extra hour in the kitchen to make something else for this one person.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, let me ask you a question. Why is it okay for a child, not okay for a child to do that, but it is okay for a husband to do that to his wife?
I don't do that to you.
I'm not saying you, but you and me know somebody who does do that. She will spend literally hours cooking, making sure it doesn't have spice, making sure it is just how he likes it. Just for him to call her when he's 10 minutes away from the house, be like, no, I don't feel like that. See, everything that she made, she has to put away, put it in the fridge, and hurry up in the 10 minutes that he's going to take to get home. She has to hurry up and make what he wants. So why is it okay for them, but it's not okay for a kid?
And no, it's not okay. I agree with you. It's not okay. It's not okay across the board. If you've already spent that much time making this food and you've already cooked for the family, there's no reason why you should have to cook another meal just because one person doesn't want to eat it, or you've already slaved away in the kitchen for it. So why not just eat what you made? And if that person doesn't like it, guess what? Make yourself something. She's got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. Now, if the 16-year-old says, oh, I don't want that, okay, well, make yourself something else. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next story because we actually spent quite a bit of time on that one.
Okay.
All right, so the next one is, am I in the wrong for calling my wife entitled and humiliating her in front of my mom? My wife, my mom, and I have a huge point of contention when it comes to visits. We live about 7-hour plane ride away from my mom, and there hasn't been a single visit in 5 years. My wife and my mom had never had a great relationship. If it wasn't too terrible, but just very different people. Wait, hold on. It wasn't too terrible, but just very different people, and they get on each other's nerves. So my wife doesn't want her to stay in the house. It makes me sad, but my wife feels the home needs to be a sanctuary and no one who upsets her should be allowed to stay in her sanctuary. And I chose to support that. Her ideal visit would be my mom staying at a hotel and having a designated visiting times. My mom says that we can make our own rules, but we can't seriously expect her to put her time in and effort to traveling to stay in a hotel. I also understand that train of thought. My wife, however, thinks my mom owes it to her kids to make the effort. My mom says that my wife is selfish for expecting her to sacrifice her time, effort, and peace of mind to be treated like a burden. I have told my wife to leave it alone. I called my mom recently to talk, and my wife came over and began making digs about how the kids don't recognize my mom, and were asking if I actually have parents. My mom said my wife needed to leave the conversation or she was going to hang up. My wife said it was so sad that my mom won't just come and see her grandkids because she feels entitled to stay in our house. I just snapped and told my wife that she needs to stop acting entitled to my mom's time, energy, the money it would take to visit, and she is the entitled one. My mom began laughing and my wife looked devastated. I quickly hung up and tried to talk it out with my wife, but she was furious and said that I broke her cardinal rule of marriage by calling her out in front of my mom. I do get that, but I've given her my opinion in private so many times. Am I in the wrong?
Ooh. That's pretty brutal.
You wanted to shake some waves. Shake some waves? Make some waves?
I wanted to shake some waves.
You wanted to rock the boat this episode.
Rock the boat? Mm-hmm. Okay, I like shake the waves instead. So let's shake the waves with this episode.
Let me go ahead and flip the coin here, and I get heads. Who am I defending? I am defending the husband.
I'm defending the poster. So you are defending the wife.
God.
Look,
You're doing this on purpose.
No, look at the coin. Look at the coin.
Heads.
Yes.
So I'm defending the poster.
What?
I'm defending the poster.
Oh my God.
I'm defending the poster.
Wow, you are... Were you dropped out as a kid?
I'm pretty sure I was, but why? What?
I read the story.
Okay.
I got heads.
Oh.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh my goodness. What is wrong with you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a daily thing at our house here, okay? Just so you know, if you guys wanted to know what it was like to be home, this is it right here.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness, that was hilarious.
Oh my God.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Feelings mutual. All right, so I am going to start my time. Ready? And here's the timer. Go. All right, so first of all, you are being extremely petty by feeling the need to call her out in front of on the the fly I was fighting with flew in my mouth. Excuse me. Dude, the fly right in the middle of talking just flew right in my mouth.
What is happening?
The fly that landed on my chin. Why is there a fly here? Oh my God. Sorry. I'm so sorry for that.
That's staying in.
No, you gotta take that out. That's so messed up, dude.
You sounded like a dog gagging.
I got attacked by a fly. Okay.
Oh, God.
Anyways, so this. Okay, back to the story. So first of all, that is very petty that you went as far as having to call him out like that in front of his mom. And
not only were you calling him out, but you're calling her out too, because you're probably doing this in front of the grandchildren as well. And call me reading into the story a little too much, but I wouldn't put it past this mom to also be the one instigating the children's way of thinking. You know, as far as saying, you know, do you even have any parents? I wouldn't put it past the mom to be the one saying, oh, you know, your grandparents don't want to see you. Your grandparents don't want to see you. And that's a very low blow. If no mother should ever tell that to their children, period. You know, unless the grandparents are bad people. In this case, clearly she's not. You should not be telling your kids that. Those are your grandparents. Those are the kids' grandparents. That's your husband's mom, and you should not be talking like that about them. And I don't put it past her to be the type of person to talk like that about the mom. And another thing, you're instigating, you're provoking, and then you got mad when you got called out. I'm sorry, but that's your fault. Don't instigate, don't cause problems if you can't handle what comes your way. You know? That's all I need to say.
Okay, so I'm defending the wife, right?
Jesus Christ, we're back on this again?
I'm just making sure. I don't want to start defending the wrong person.
Yes, you are defending the wife.
Okay. So you don't know how it is that the mom talks to the wife. You don't know if it's probably one of those passive-aggressive relationships, you know, because it says right here that, hold on, where is it at? They never had a great relationship. It wasn't too terrible, but just very different people, and they get on each other's nerves. So you don't know if maybe, you know, the mom kind of like makes sarcastic comments to her. You don't know if it's passive-aggressive comments. You don't know what the relationship is like when he's not around. So maybe when they're together, you know, maybe the mom is cordial or makes it known that she's irritated by the daughter-in-law, but nothing too extreme. But when it's just them alone, then maybe that's when it's a little more noticeable. So whenever it is that they're together and she's showing this passive aggressiveness, it just builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up. And when you're with somebody who makes you like that, your home is supposed to be where you can just unwind and relax. That's your sanctuary. So when you have somebody coming into your space who makes you feel just brought down, you don't need that in the space that's supposed to help bring you peace and calm.
Okay. Based on the phone call that was happening between our poster and his mom, something about this tells me that the mom is not going to be the instigator in this situation, at least the majority of the times. Because
I'm going to interrupt you there because it says here, my mom says we can make our own rules, but we can't seriously expect her to put her time and effort into traveling to stay at a hotel. I'm sorry, but aren't these also the parents of your grandkids? This is not just your son that you're going to visit. These are your grandkids who you do not get to see often. So you're here saying, well, you can't expect me to be going to a hotel. Okay, you're acting entitled. If they are saying, the owners of the home, if they are saying that they don't want you to come into their home, especially, why would you even want to stay there if you don't have a good relationship with your daughter-in-law in the first place? You could go visit them.
It's going to cost money. It's going to cost energy. It's going to cost the mom, the grandmother, we'll call her the grandmother, but it's going to cost the grandmother a fair amount just to be able to go visit her grandchildren. And I get it. They don't have a close relationship, but visiting times? Really?
Where does it say visiting times? Hold on.
Yeah, it says right here. It says her ideal visit would be my mom staying at a hotel and having designated visiting times. You want designated. You're putting all these. You want this lady to come from a 6-hour plane ride and
not only is she having to go basically a long distance just to see her grandchildren, but you want to place additional obstacles in front of her that basically limit how much she can see her grandchildren, and then you're going to hold her accountable for not going?
It says right here, her ideal visit. That's not saying that that's what she's saying, that's how it has to be done. She is saying, well, if it were up to me, your mom would stay at a hotel and she could come from...
Well, it says her ideal because clearly this is a conversation that's been covered. They've had this conversation before. That's why he's saying that.
Yeah, but she's not saying this is how it's going to be done. She's saying this is how I would like it to be done.
Yeah, but imagine showing up and then that's how it is. Do you think it's worth the mother-in-law to have to go through all that?
Okay, so by that logic, what if the mother-in-law felt like going at 5 a.m?
Oh, come on. Really?
I'm
You
being
really think
serious.
she's going to go over there at 5 a.m. to visit her grandchildren?
I'm just saying, because she's saying between designated
Well, if she's
times.
let in the house, then that wouldn't be a problem now, would it?
Huh?
If she's let in the house, then that wouldn't be a problem now, would it?
No, but like I said, if you have someone that is, okay, if you have somebody that is causing you to be stressed out and causing you just whenever you're around them, it just makes you stressed out. Are you gonna honestly want to have that person in your house?
No,
Okay,
but
so
it's different. That's your in-laws.
okay, yeah, I get it. That's your in-laws. So you have to still take into consideration what your husband wants too. But he also has to take into consideration what she goes through. If he knows that they don't have a good relationship, why would he put them under the same roof to just cause more arguments?
They haven't seen each other in 5 years. How much of a grudge are you gonna hold? You haven't seen each other in 5 years. It's 5 years. You're gonna hold that much of a grudge for 5 years?
What if she is doing everything that she can, but the mother-in-law is just not putting in her work?
What if
Because
the
it says
mother-in-law
right here,
Go ahead.
because it says right here that, like I said, the mom says that they can make their own rules, but they can't expect her to make that time and effort. Expect her to put her time and effort into traveling to stay at a hotel.
Yes. What if she's traveling alone?
Okay.
And now you're gonna send her off to a hotel alone.
Okay, it says right here, my mom says my wife is selfish for expecting her to sacrifice her time, effort, and peace of mind just to be treated like a burden. Her peace of mind. If you have such a horrible relationship with this person to the point where you are telling your son that his wife is selfish, I have a feeling that even if you stayed at their house, that's not going to be quote unquote peace of mind because you're going to be too busy fighting with her.
She's there for the grandchildren, though. They haven't seen each other in 5 years.
It doesn't matter if you're there for the
She's not going to
grandkids.
come in and just start a fight just because.
It doesn't matter if you're there for the grandkids. You are going for something, but you still have this other person there who lives there. That's their mom.
Okay, we this is actually a tie. I think none of us won this argument, in my opinion.
Did I do good?
You did good. You did good. I mean, other than getting lost in about who to defend and
Hey man,
that
it
little
was just
debacle you had going there.
I think my mind was just in denial.
I think so too. But you did excellent. I mean, I was struggling to find arguments myself, and you know what? This in my opinion. But by the way, we are past the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
In my honest opinion, I think it's a crapshoot. I think it could go literally either way.
Yeah.
Is the poster in the wrong for humiliating his wife in front of the mom? I'm gonna say no, because she was asking for it. She was provoking and provoking and provoking. All you did was defend yourself. You had enough.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have gone out of your way and done this and she wasn't provoking anything, then I'd say yes, you're definitely in the wrong for that. But she was provoking. Like, you poke somebody long enough, you have to expect a bite back, period. right? So if she was firing and firing and firing and firing, I'm sorry, you got what was coming towards you. You know, you were provoking. Like, this is a conversation you could have had with your husband in private.
Exactly.
You had no reason to be throwing shots like that over the phone. Once they got off the phone, you talked about it in private with your husband, end of story. But you know what you were doing. You knew that she could hear what you were saying. You knew that you wanted to get under her skin. You were throwing shots, and what you got humbled, and you didn't like it. Period. That's my honest opinion. You didn't like being humbled because your husband called you out on your BS. Period.
See, the question is he in the wrong for calling his wife entitled and humiliating her in front of my mom? To that question, I'm going to say yes, he was in the wrong. If you are,
okay.
Yeah, and this is just my opinion.
No. I mean, hey, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
This is what this podcast is about.
I would say yes, he's wrong, because if you and me are with my parents and say that you are saying something that I don't agree with or that I don't like in front of my parents, I'm not going to sit there and belittle you and tell you that you're being entitled, and I'm not going to humiliate you in front of my parents.
But she was doing it to instigate. She knew what she was doing. She knew the parents could hear.
Okay, she was...
If you were to hear me doing something like that, you have actually given your opinion in some parts in front of your family too.
Yeah, but the thing that I don't do, but what I don't do is disrespect you. I don't disrespect you in front of my family. What he did, he disrespected her in front of his mom. What I do is I'll give my little opinions, or I'll make like a joke out of it. But when it's just us and it's just you and me, then I will say, hey, you know what, about this, and then I'll tell you how I feel.
That's true. That's very true.
I would never, ever disrespect you in front of my family, in front of your family, in front of anyone. I don't even really disrespect you, period. But, you know, when I do have something that I'm passionate about, then I will tell you, hey, I don't like this, but I do it in private.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. She should have done it in private.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying he is wrong, because he should not have called her entitled and humiliated her in front of his mom. Because I think it even says here that, look, I just snapped and told my wife she needs to stop acting entitled to my mom's time, energy, and the money it would take to visit, that she's the entitled one. My mom began laughing, and my wife looked devastated.
I gotta say, I think the wife is in the wrong in this.
She definitely is. I'm not excusing her at all. She 100% is in the wrong, because she should not have spoken to her husband like that when she's on the phone, when he's on the phone with his mom, because it makes her look bad. It makes their relationship even worse, her and her mother-in-law. And 100% I do not agree with her talking nonstop. That's one of my pet peeves. If you see me on the phone, why are you talking to me? You know I'm not, especially me.
You can't multitask.
I can't. I really can't. So if I'm on the phone and I'm talking to someone, or if I need to hear something, why are you talking to me? To me, that's rude. So wait till I'm off the phone and then tell me something.
Yeah, no, I see, and this is why I say it can go either way, because I don't feel he was wrong in this. He got tired of her instigating, and
he could have walked away. He could have locked himself in the bathroom.
Oh, come on. You really?
Yeah.
Okay, but can you imagine, based on this wife's temperament that we can tell already, do you really think she's not going to follow him?
That's why I said he could have locked himself in the bathroom, finished that conversation.
Imagine the fight that it would have led to after that.
Okay, then that's when you handle it.
Because if the wife's acting like this, while
I'm sorry,
he's on the
but it could
phone
have
with his mother-in-law, can you imagine how she treats her family?
Then he could have hung up with his mom. He could have said, "You know what, Mom? Let me call you back."
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But emotions it's called the heat of the moment.
Exactly. That's what. Like I said, I'm not excusing her, But what could have happened was she was already upset because she's trying to say, look, I need some boundaries. If you're going to be here multiple days, knowing that we don't get along, I need some time to de-stress. So she's just asking, look, go stay at a hotel. And knowing that she probably can hear, because if this guy was on his cell phone, and if he's like you, where he has the volume turned up all the way on his phone, she could probably hear everything that her mother-in-law was saying. So calling her selfish and saying, how could she expect me to sacrifice my time and all that? That's probably what she was hearing. Then that's when she's like, well, our kids don't even know them and this and that. Like, that's when she started saying all that. That is the heat of the moment. That's emotions taking over her. So you, as the husband, have to be the bigger person and say, Mom, let me call you back. I need to talk to my wife, or to walk away from her. Handle the situation with your wife and then call back your mom. And while you're talking to your wife, say...
I didn't consider the part where you said, because if he had the volume on loud and she was saying... I think it all comes down to who started throwing rocks first, And
it sounds like the mom.
If the mom started throwing those rocks first and he had the volume on loud, then okay, I can understand the wife now. So you made a good point there. You made a good point that I was not looking at that. I did not think of that before. So you made a good point. So that right there would actually put some leverage in favor of the wife. And but still, ultimately, I think it goes down to, God, I mean, you'd have to be in that situation to know what really went down and how it really went down, right? Because if the mom was talking bad about the wife and she happened to hear it and she defended herself, then yes, I agree with you. Because I hadn't considered that. I hadn't considered if he had the volume out loud, she heard it, and then she gave her opinion. You're absolutely right about that. Because at that point, then my argument is moot, right? So from that point forward, everything I've said doesn't count because now I side with the wife. So it really depends on what really happened during this phone call. And now I'm going to have to say I changed my answer. To the poster, are you in the wrong for this? It depends. It depends on how the phone call happened. It really does, because you pointed out, you made a good point. Like, if he had the volume on loud and the mom's the one who started it, then I don't blame the wife, and that makes the poster in the wrong. But if the wife started it and then the mom started saying this stuff, then that doesn't put the poster in the wrong. But there's no way to know because we were not there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's just my opinion, man. This story is actually like a bit of a teeter-totter.
Yeah.
This really is. There's no definite direction of who's at fault here. Because you'd have to know the full backstory. You'd have to know, again, I wish you would have brought up the whole volume thing of the phone call during that argument, during our 10 minutes. Because that literally changes everything. It really does.
Yeah, because, when you're on the phone with, trying to think of somebody who's soft-spoken. Okay, my brother. My brother is a pretty soft-spoken guy. When you're on the phone with him, I can hear him perfectly. Mm-hmm. Can't even imagine what I hear when you're on the phone with somebody from your family, like your mom or your aunt.
She's my mom. You don't even have to be in the same room as my mom to hear her. She's got a voice that pierces your soul.
I have a small story time for you listeners. We went to an event with his family, and the place was filled with people. Like, there was tons of people, and we kind of lost his mom, and we were looking for her, and I told him, I said, where's your mom? And we're looking and we don't see her. And then no more than like maybe 2 minutes that go by, we could hear her over the huge crowd of people that everybody is talking, and there's a little bit of music. We hear her laughing, and all we had to do was like, oh, there she is, and we followed her laughter, and we found her exactly where she was.
Yep. My mom is 4'11", 120 pounds, but her voice is like, wow, it's just
loud. Like,
Tiny little person with a huge voice.
I mean, you can. She's. If she were to travel to Japan, I'd be able to hear her still because that's how loud she talks. If you guys ever hear a high pitched noise from anywhere, a high pitched voice, it's probably her.
But she is the best.
Yes, that she is. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Everybody, that's a wrap. So let us know what your thoughts are and your arguments are and who you think is in the wrong. And don't forget to write to us on either YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and all the social medias ever. Let us know your thoughts on who won, and if there's a story you'd like for us to read, or even a feature or story that happened to you or a situation in which you currently find yourself in, please email us at ohsojudgy@gmail.com. Don't worry, we'll keep your names and scenario discreet. And please try to provide as many details as possible so that way we can cover all aspects of the argument. And until next time, judges, you be the judge.
You be the judge right now. You can be the judge right now. You be the judge.
Here comes the judge.
You be the judge